But my son Conor who's 26 years old, has been in the Ukraine. He joined the Foreign Legion. He went over there. He felt like because he had spent so much time arguing in favor of, he does not like Putin. He does not like bullies. He feels Putin is a gangster and a bully. And the invasion was just wrong. And he argued very strongly about it. And when we went in, he felt that he shouldn't be arguing about it unless he was willing to, in favor of war, unless he was willing to have skin in the game and take his own risks. And so he went to the Ukrainian embassy and he signed up for the Foreign Legion, and he's been fighting over in the Ukraine for the last couple of months.
Oh, wow.
He's part of he was part of a special forces unit and he didn't have any military experience, and he kind of talked his way into the unit. And he's a big, strong guy. He's 6'5", and is an athlete and could shoot a gun. But they made him a drone pilot for the forward unit, and then they promoted him to a machine gunner, which is a tripod-mounted machine gun. And he's been over there for a couple of months. He's been in firefights, mainly nighttime, and a lot of artillery fights with the Russians. He didn't tell any of us where he was going. I saw his Cheryl and I. He was straight with us, and he said, "Dad," I said, well, I knew he had a job for a law firm. He's third-year law student in Georgetown. He had a job for a law firm, a really good law firm, Bob Medlin here in Los Angeles. And I was looking forward to him living with me for the summer. And I said, when do you start the law firm? And he said, I'm not going. And I want to talk to you. I don't want you to ask me what I'm doing. And I was like, and he said, I will explain it to you at some point, but I do not want you to ask me now. And if you can just respect that, it would mean a lot to me. So I did. Cheryl and I were worried about him because we thought maybe he's doing something dangerous. And we were looking at his credit card bills, and the last one we saw was in Poland. And then there was one in the Ukraine, and then they just stopped. And he didn't tell anybody where he was going or what he was doing. And none of the people in his squadron, I think he had 22 men that he was, fighting with. And he became very, very close to them. And he didn't tell any of them who he was. And so anyway, he came back a couple days ago, and I flew out to the East Coast to meet him, and I heard about what he had done, and I'm very glad I didn't know what he was up to.
So you just found out.
The point is that there's differences in my family, but we talk to each other about it, and I send him articles, where I disagree. And here's the bottom line for me. I think we have a military-industrial complex in this country that feeds on continual war, that they want continual state of war. I believe that that is very, very difficult. And this is what Madison and Adams said. Adams specifically said, America can support democracy abroad, but we will not go abroad in search of monsters to destroy. And why is that? Because an imperialism abroad is inconsistent with democracy at home. It will turn America into a national security state, into an authoritarian state, if we continue to be, our biggest industry be the military. Dwight Eisenhower on January 17th in 1961, just before he left office and handed it over to my uncle, made probably the most important speech in American history, warning America against the rise of the military-industrial complex and talking about how it would subdue and destroy American democracy. And, listen, we go out from war to war to war, and each war is preceded by a propaganda barrage. and then and the press all jumps on. And here the same thing happened during the Iraq War, which was the worst foreign policy choice that we ever made until COVID-19 came along in American history. And the New York Times had to apologize for its reporting with Judith Miller, and all of the neocon and CIA people who were tricked us into that war. President George Bush said the worst mistake of his presidency was believing George Tenet, the head of the CIA, when he said the weapons of mass destruction is a slam dunk. He said he was tricked by the CIA into that war. So if you look what's happened in the Ukraine, there was a CIA-sponsored coup in 2014, and the Rand Corporation, now we know, had published this blueprint that says we should our global strategy should be to provoke Putin into overextending himself, and and then confronting him in one of these countries, these former Soviet states. And Putin is a gangster. He's homicidal. He's a thug. He's one of the worst people alive today. But we need to have a real debate about how this war, about our part in the whole thing, and what the part the CIA played in it, and what part the extension of NATO. When Gorbachev went to President Bush and said to President Bush, "I'm going to dismantle the Soviet Union. But I want your assurance. I want America's promise to me that you will not move NATO into the former Soviet satellite states as they come off. We don't want to be surrounded by a hostile NATO." And Bush promised him, we will not, on behalf of the American people, we will not move NATO 1 inch to the east. And since then, we've moved NATO into, I think, 13 countries that we promised we wouldn't do. We've installed missile systems in each one of them that can be converted literally overnight into nuclear missile systems now. And then you have a government in the Ukraine that has killed between 13,000 and 14,000 ethnic Russians in the eastern part of the government that we helped install. And you had the neocon, Victoria Nuland selecting the cabinet in 2014. But we help install this government, and then they start treating their ethnic Russians like red-headed stepchildren, and now we're in a war. They got in a war with them where they're killing 13 to 14,000 ethnic Russians in the eastern part of Ukraine. Now, in 1962, when the Russians moved nuclear missiles into Cuba, we had on the XCOM committee, we had, I think, 11 of the people on that committee who said we should bomb them, even nuclear bomb them. And my Uncle Jack said, what if that means nuclear war with the Russians? And they said, well, they won't do it. We got to do it. We got to invade Cuba. So, they were 90 miles from us, and they were, I think, 1,400 miles from Washington. But we have missile emplacements now that are a few miles from the Russian border. So, and if the Russians moved nuclear missiles into Mexico, or missile systems of any kind, and they killed 14,000 American expatriates in Guadalajara and Baja, we would be in there overnight. So, and I'm not, listen, what my uncle said about foreign policy is you always put yourself in the other guy's shoes. And you always figure out, give them a way out. And nobody's talking about any way to settle this. What they're talking about and what Biden's talking about is regime change. And that's what the CIA wants, regime change in Russia. And that's insane. It's going to get us the same place as regime change did in Iraq, where the situation just gets worse. So I don't think, listen, those are my arguments today, Megyn. As of now, it's not something I'm wedded to. These are really kind of anxieties I have about this war. and you know, the reasons this war troubles me, but I listen to other people. And, you know, I can, and I had a CIA guy on my podcast who made a really strong case, you know, for intervention. My son, who knows all the things that I am troubled about this, and he's troubled by them too. He's not naive. He understands, you know, the Ukrainian government is as corrupt as the Russian government. And they're intolerant of civil rights. And then you have all these, you know, really neo-Nazis and the Azov Battalion, et cetera. And Conor's aware of that. Conor saw none of those Nazis when he was over there. The people he worked with, and when I hear him talk about it and the feelings that he has about the Ukrainian people, you know, it makes you want to cry. And he's very articulate and very convincing about it. So I'm lucky that I don't have to now I'm not in a position to make a decision about where you go next, because I think it's really complicated. All wars are. But I think we ought to be talking about these things. And the concerns that I raise, we need to have an open debate about them. Because, you know, when you're taking $50 billion that could be over here paying off student debt and restoring our middle class. But, you know, we're paying for that. And I can tell you, people are paying for it at the pump.
Yeah,
we're paying $6 or $7 a gallon. And that is the cost of the Ukrainian war that you as an individual are paying every single day.
There's so much to love about fall, right? From the cooler temperatures to the changing leaves, everything pumpkin spiced, Halloween, everything. Love the whole season. What better way to soak up the best of the season than with a Michael Phelps swim spa by Master Spas? A Michael Phelps swim spa combines the benefits of a pool with the therapy of a hot tub. It comes in a variety of sizes to complement almost any yard, even if it's a small one. Master Spas worked with Michael Phelps to develop an at-home training and fitness solution that you can use year-round in any season, even in the winter. As your fall calendar fills up, a Michael Phelps swim spa is the perfect place to spend time together as a family. Michael Phelps swim spas are 100% made in the USA by Master Spas, the world's largest swim spa manufacturer. It is energy efficient. You can use it all year long. Go to masterspas.com, put in the promo code MK to save $1,000 on a Michael Phelps swim spa or $500 on a Master Spas hot tub. That's masterspas.com, promo code MK. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.